Okay, so this is my lesson plan for the second opinion assignment. As you see right up here, my duration of the lesson was 55 minutes. I chose to use a lesson on geometry, which means that I had to cut my lesson down a little bit because in the article the lesson was 100 minutes, and obviously I only had about half that time. The first thing I did was determine my central focus, determine the surface area and volume of prisms, cylinders, and figures. So if we scan down to where the student prior knowledge is, the students have been working with these representations as far as two-dimensional objects are concerned. They've been doing the algebra behind it, but we've not really seen kind of how area and volume relate to one another. So what they're going to wind up doing is they're going to go ahead and essentially right here in the focus instruction, the very first thing is I'm going to say, oh, students are going to know that they're spending the class time working on an activity, and they'll be put in groups of 4 to 6. This lesson is going to connect to the previous lesson by just letting students know, oh, these are the shapes that we've been working with. I'm going to put kind of some of the equations on the board just to kind of serve as a little bit of a reminder, a little bit of a scaffold for them. In the workshop in the activity on the second opinion article, they used construction paper. I felt that by paring it down to 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper, that makes the assignment go a little quicker. Students are still going to be cutting up and turning things into shapes. The worksheet right here, the students are going to be working on planning a pill worksheet. The construction that they're going to do is going to help out with that. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is have a discussion over kind of the intro conversation, the first question on the worksheet. That way students can then go ahead and get a really good start to where they're going to be working. From here, students are going to be told and instructed to create physical models of two pills that they have designed. And so one of the things that I really want to stress with students is that they need to be very careful in their planning, because right here you see students are not going to be provided with extra paper. So if they mess up, well, then they have a problem, and then they're going to have to go ahead and deal with, well, how do they fix what they messed up with? So they might have to use tape in ways that they do not want to. The scaffolding here, I wish I could have done more with, but I feel like the best scaffolding here will be to monitor the group progress. I do want to kind of try to make sure that students are using academic language. I might fill in and kind of substitute some vocabulary if I just hear, oh, students are using everyday language to describe academic ideas. Students, here I'm going to remind them of the equations right here. And then if groups are struggling, because I want this to kind of be an enjoyable activity, I don't want it to be a stressful thing. So I have no problem merging a group or two if I feel that by merging it, that they then, instead of two groups making two things that are subpar, that might help groups to make one thing or one example that's actually good, verifiable. Right here, the exit slip is kind of the closure to the activity, where I can just get a little bit of feedback about what they found interesting about the activity. So that's what I have right there. So resources and materials, I felt like I was getting a little too specific by mentioning Flippity, but that's how I'm going to be forming the groups, and so I figured I can call that a resource. And planning a pill worksheet is right here. Students will be using tape, scissors, and extra paper to create three-dimensional models of the pills that they have found. So here, creating the models and completing the worksheet is kind of, I suppose that could be split into two different assessments. I chose to create that as one simple assessment because I feel that the two activities support one another. And I created the exit slip at the very end just to go ahead and see, hey, what of the understanding can students tell me that they have? Right here and early on in the lesson, I'm going to have a short guided discussion just about the relationships. Because this right here will be used to kind of bridge prior knowledge with what we are going to be doing there during the activity. Here for syntax, we have some of the equations that students are going to be needing the most, and just kind of the format of those equations. Here's some of the vocabulary. We've got surface area, volume, prism, And right here, I say that students are going to analyze characteristics and properties of 2- and 3-dimensional models because of the fact that they are going to be transitioning from their understanding of 2-dimensional models to 3-dimensional models for understanding geometric shapes. And that is how the lesson is going to proceed.